What will all year Star Trek look like? Today on episode 241 of Trekland Tuesdays Live. With me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you right here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 for the clarity, sanity, and big picture in all things Star Trek. Hey everybody, hope you're having a great Tuesday as always. Around the globe, the TTLers, like everything Trekland, is set up to be global. Guys, gals, last week's Prodigy brought the house down in a lot of ways. I'm going to do something I rarely do. I'm going to jump and talk about the parrots right now. In one respect, the parrot analytics, we've been watching them since October. I'll save the main report for later, but basically, the Parrot Analytics is a company that rose up to try to give audiences and the industry a handle on the digital revolution, because no longer were Nielsen viewer ratings relevant, because nobody knows what the digitals are doing, because they have no commercials to set ad rates by. I mean, the broadcast networks would have loved to have had that too, but that's not the way the world had to evolve to deal with them. So in that digital streaming world, the numbers of who's actually, what's popular, what's not, has been an interesting phenomenon. Parrot's way of dealing with it is basically looking at what the online activity. The more popular something was, supposedly, there'd be more impressions, whether it's fans, for the most part, or professional studio promos, or critics, or whatever it might be. And then retweets, posts, memes, whatever the hell. The suspect thing about that is who's jumping on it? What if there's negativity about a show? Well, that's popping up too. That's been pointed out many times before. My point to jump right to the parrots is last week's Prodigy was amazing. I think a lot of fandom was in a meltdown. The creativity and the imagination, and if you haven't seen it, did I spoil it or not? I don't know how, if you're avoiding the internet but you're watching me, that's an awesome pretzel twist you're into. But let's just say they use the universe, hashtag use the universe, in a big way. And it melted a lot of hearts. On the other hand, got an awful lot of chronology, an awful lot of canon tongues wagging, too, about what's going on. And some of that has been a little bit answered. And that's going to feed into our topic today, too. But just on the surface of things, it's amazing. I don't know, is this the most discussed Prodigy episode to date? Maybe. It's on an upward curve for sure. Point being here, Prodigy did not crack the top 10 of Parrot's top 10 USA. So part of me wants to say, and you might be wondering, wow, not that the parrots are the end-all be-all in measurement tools, but you want to say, wow, if not now, when? And again, Prodigy still suffers, I think, from being seen as a kid's show. That's going to eventually change. It will spike in viewers and eyeballs once it gets to Nickelodeon. It'll spike in viewers and eyeballs once it gets to worldwide distribution of Paramount Plus, and people aren't having to sacrifice their sanity to watch it with commercials on Pluto TV if you're in all those countries that lost it from Netflix. But again, I'm talking about the parrots. Our lens is the parrots in the US, not to knock anybody else's countries or ratings or viewer habits, but just to keep apples to apples. I'm talking about the American top 10. And all of those things will help overseas, yes. But as far as just our US ratings, Nickelodeon will help spread the word. I think it's still suffering. People are rapidly figuring out that that's not the case, and word of mouth may get it there by the time the next 5 episodes get us to the 10, the midway break. It's going to be a ways to go before Prodigy shows up as a big spike, even though fandom itself is melting down over the show in a good way. But behind all that is this week's question. What will all year Star Trek look like? And I say all year Star Trek. I don't know. What's the annual equivalent to 24/7? Every hour of the day, all week long. What do we have? Do the math real quick. I should have done it. All year Star Trek literally means one new Star Trek a week. We've talked about, remember when it was 27 new weeks or whatever the meme was a couple of years ago? That was earth-shaking. And we say that loosely in excitement, but when we say all year Star Trek, what does it look like? Well, we're midway through 2 seasons right now. There are 6 more discos to go for season 4. We've had 1 down. There are 4 more left of the first 10 of Prodigy, but there's still really 10 left, which was originally the second season. Now they're calling them all the first season. So there's 6 discos, 14 left. And then there are all the virgin seasons let unseen of 10 from Picard, 10 from Lower Decks, and 10 for Strange New Worlds. And I'm saying 10 from Strange New Worlds The City of Toronto website in their film industry side is saying 10 episodes. Maybe we did get officially announced from CBS Paramount Plus, but I'm going to say 10. So 10 and 10 and 10, that's 30. 10 plus 4, 14, do the math, 40. And then 6 unseen discos, that's right at 50. And we're one Thursday down. So, okay, maybe there's 1 week technically left unheralded in 2022 if we're a 52-week year. Last time I checked, I think we are. And unless CBS Paramount Plus takes a break, maybe the week of Star Trek Day this year, they take a breather, let the panels be the big splash, and they do all the, the Easter eggs, the promotions, the big reveals, some big reveals. Whatever doesn't happen at the summer cons, whatever doesn't happen at, well, I guess I have to say Chicago now. Mission Chicago's coming up in just 2 months. That's a whole story in itself. 2 months? January, February, March, April. 2.5 months till the new official con in Chicago, Mission Chicago, which has a lot of questions around it. Maybe we'll talk about that in a week or two. And then there's Comic-Con, just because it's the big granddaddy. Probably no huge reveals at Trek Vegas now that it's been de-licensed, but it's still a big broker. Who knows? Comic-Con New York, they like to do that there just because it's in the house and they have the Reed Pop connection now. But there is Star Trek Day, which is totally all about nothing but Star Trek. They've got the spotlight to themselves for a day. And it's an awesome time to not only make reveals, but make reveals of creatives involved, cast and crew. So maybe Star Trek Day, they take a week off for a breather and let the spotlight be on news and personalities. I don't know, but I'm going to let 1 week slide. We have all year Star Trek. Now, it's all different flavors in our buffet, but I still don't think we're totally there yet with what that means. We've had these blurps. We've had some big blurps. We've had these major runs. But what would that really mean? What would that mean for fandom? What would that mean for us in the blab about it and the write about it industry? What will that mean for, the creatives? And I'm hoping, we just had this scare with Picard last week with COVID shutdown. I think people were a little shocked. Maybe the news came out on a Thursday and then Friday, well, we're back filming. Like, what? People forget that it took 4 or 5 days for the news to leak out, for somebody to report it. I am sure that the Picard cast and crew here in Los Angeles, the outlier for the actual shooting, you don't count the CGI. Well, there's CGI done in Canada too for the animated. But I'm sure they would have loved to have just not had anybody known and had it be some glorious little history reveals later on. But that's what happens. There's too many entities involved, too many unions and vendors and all of that for the word not to get out. And it is what it is. It's hardly shocking. It's hardly the only thing. But they were back. Yeah, I'm sure they took 5 days, 6 days off, checked everybody, and came back. It really happened the week before. But yes, they're back filming. Nobody's been in peril, especially Sir Patrick. So that's all good news. But if the shows, the series, and the animateds are a different critter, both of them. They're different flavor, but they're still, one is CG, one is 2D mocking. They all have their different mechanisms, their own well-oiled machines aren't the same. But assuming that everybody keeps cranking it out, just what's in the can right now will take us to the end of the year, really. Or what's due to be wrapped up by then. This disco break, it turns out, was a little bit of the post-production still needing to be done. Not quite ready. So sure, we'll do a switcheroo and let Prodigy have its next 5 in before you're totally cold on it. But here we are. We're having these blips and blurbs and hiccups, but it's coming. It's coming. And it's rolling out. We can do the math. We can see this. What does that mean? What does that mean? No breaks. Poor podcasters, poor YouTubers will never get a break. They'll love that or they'll hate it or both. You, the audience, are in the same, I say you, we, all of us are in the same boat. Now, people specifically tied to one series or another will obviously get a break. As far as following, I hope they get a break even if they're working. Sure, everybody's entitled to their 2-3 week hiatus, please. This whole phenomenon of the short seasons is still something to get your mind wrapped around if you're an old veteran of the 26, 24 episode years and how the calendar is just very neatly laid out. These things that are coming and going are, Although Mike McMahon told us in our open house for Portal 47 last fall that he expected no exact date, but just the way the mechanics of production are running, that he expected Lower Decks to be out about the same time this year as it was last year. Remember, in the fall. We've had this juggle and this dance, but the later dominoes are probably going to fall about the way they are, the way they're intended to. But now what about that's the macro? What about the micro? Week to week to week, what happens here? I mean, how is your life? If you're paying attention to Star Trek, and more people are apparently, what does that do to your life? When it drops in the States at midnight Thursday, or I say midnight Wednesday, Pacific time, and whenever you watch it that night, you stay up late, it's not that late, or you see it first thing in the morning, or it's your big deal to do Thursday evening, that's great. And the rest of the year, the rest of the world, even if they're crimping along on Pluto with commercials, are getting it on Friday. What does that translate? Now, this is how things have evolved. I don't know if it's occurred to you this way, but what happens? People watch it. The very first official reviews that are embargoed can pop up at 6 a.m. on Thursday morning, and that's fine. 6 a.m. Pacific, I'm saying. Or even, I don't know, 3, whatever the embargo time is. You can actually start reading recaps and reviews Thursday morning. A lot of people, that's not enough time. Or they want to see it twice before they read somebody talking about it. The biggest thing is most people don't want spoilers, right? We're into this thing of a lot of us watching Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Thursday, and still staying off the interwebs for the most part, unless you've got a spoilerifically reviewed bit that you know to stay away from. But even the Americas, Canada and the Americas, stay away and don't go hardcore. We all kind of know we're kind of letting the rest of the world catch up, and thank God they still can, one way or another. And Friday goes by, and then you start to see the dam break, and you see the online chatter, you see the twits and the Facebooks, and Instagram. Don't forget Instagram. God, don't forget LinkedIn. And then by Friday, it's game on, hell's a poppin'. And everybody is, if they're not worked by Friday night or whatever, it's gone. It's game on by Saturday. What also starts to happen is, because we live in this era where it's not Larry goes in at the end of the season and does the wrap up. It's 24 hours later, you've got everybody online tweeting and Instagramming, but especially tweeting, occasionally Facebooking. But a lot of the creatives are chomping at the bit to talk about. These are a lot of people's first projects. You see writers and directors who are so excited for it to be not just their first Star Trek, maybe it's their first professional title ever. They're thrilled to talk about it. You see art staff, visual effects, all kinds of the guilds that are especially nerdy and fit our needs. You see them popping up with little bits and pieces here and there. So what happens is, not only do you see the episode on Thursday, we hold off to let the world catch up from the American point of view, so that by Saturday, everybody gets it. The first wave of questions guardedly asked on Thursday, or maybe not so guardedly, and Friday, and then Saturday, it's just the dam breaks. People want to know, wait a minute, why was the diviner looking for the protostar in 2366? What? Third season of Next Gen? What? Janeway wasn't a captain. That was an awful advanced ship to be in the pre-Borg era. Yada, yada, yada. But here's the diviner talking about looking for the protostar. Spoilers. Delayed. And then you have creators coming along. Aaron Walke's one of them. Being guarded, not just in their social media. By then, you're getting the interviews at the Trek sites. I mean, I'd love to do some of those, but it's like I'll let everybody else do the in-between week to week to week chatter. But in that week to week to week chatter and one-offs and people gladly talking guardedly, because we're in serial season, we're in the era of, I can talk about this episode, but it's going to impact everything coming downstream. So to an extent, they'll talk. But if it's something that's affecting what's coming, and of course the things that are mysteries and clues are what's going to affect what's coming, they still have to be guarded about that. But we did have acknowledgement that the big stumbling block over timing here was about, as this one interview put it, it rhymes with fine fravel. So, okay, because I knew with David Mack, with Dr. Aaron, with Muhammad in there, all advising on science and science and biology and physics, but then Dave in there talking about canon, and Dayton is still there in the mix. It's not his show, but I mean, There's no, and half of the staff being old school fans. There's no way somebody's going to pull a boner like that. Oh gosh, I guess I forgot to think about TNG. I just came up with that number. No, that's not what's happening. If anything, the further we get along, even Discovery was into this. It's visual canon I always had an issue with. And boy, the animateds aren't making that mistake that I can see. No pun intended. But concept canon and fitting things in the timeline has never been much of a throwback here. And they're threading the needle here big time. And all these choices, they're big time intentions. So, okay, they're fun to see and they're fun to watch. But week to week to week, Thursday you see the episode. Friday, the rest of the world sees the episode. Saturday, here come the interviews answering some of the questions you already had. Sunday is for the slow people or the second wave of interviews. Now, Monday and Tuesday, then you really get the creatives following up what they talked about in the interviews you saw on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then by that time, it's back to Wednesday. Some of the slowpokes like me might talk about it on Tuesday. And then Wednesday night, Thursday morning, we're back at another cycle. That's pretty intense. It's intense with a smile on your face, but it's pretty intense. And to think that the combination of regular Trek again, Hello Berman era, combined with social media, and then the new layer of no stops. This train ain't stopping. This roller coaster is on a roll. And there ain't nobody's pulling the brakes at the end of the stop. We're going to whip right through the station and keep going. Season to season and show to show, sure, tone to tone will change after 5 or 6 or 10 episodes, but that's where we are, kids. No let up. Can't take a breath. It's going. And a lot of people are saying, yes, I will die with a smile on my face. And a lot of people will say, you know what? In your best Spock iMud Android version, vision, you will say, I love you, but I hate you. Now, I'm not saying that the shows are androids and they're all going to blink and say, but we are all the same. That's not true. But that mood, that feeling will come through. Some folks will definitely have their favorites. Some folks, it won't feel like it never ends. They won't care about one show. Maybe they'll change their mind. But you can't help. Ask any parent. You want all your kids to be your favorite. They may be favorites for different reasons, but it's really hard. It's really hard to do that. And no, I don't want to be psychoanalyzed. They're all your kids. They're all in the family. They're all on the shelf. So I'm not being a Pollyanna here to say it's all going to be sunshine, lollipops, and roses. Thank you, Leslie Gore. But it's more than having nothing. And you never know when some kind of wacky little connection pops up that suddenly makes the series you're not paying attention to as much totally germane to your other new favorite or your favorite from the legacy shows. My God, after last week, what is in store? What's coming around the pike that's going to tie them all together even more? And we were all ready for that. What I don't think we're ready for is the fact that this will never stop. Be careful what you wish for, Lieutenant. You may get it. Kill me with a smile on my face. In fact, this brings me back around to why isn't Prodigy on the top 10 parents? Aside from the fact that there are inherent flaws in the parents' philosophy, maybe, their algorithms, okay? Just the whole thing of judging popularity by internet productivity, showing up there. Is some of this just apathy? Is some of this just, say, Prodigy still being ignored by people thinking it's just a kid's show? Will that just be a matter of time knocking that down because it doesn't get the splash that a new Star Trek did, like Discovery did, like Picard did? I think Strange New Worlds, I think the wall has been built by the time they finally get the damn premiere out or allow us to see it. I think there'll be a dam break for that. And I think there's also just a prejudice, just a bias toward live action. Although we know the parrots are full of all kinds of anime and animation. So on the surface, that's not a limiting factor. Now, the anime world is not used to thinking about Star Trek as being in the anime world. And that's eventually going to change. And Lower Decks doesn't even appeal to all, despite Boimler's hair, it doesn't even appeal to the entire anime world on face value. Now, as we penetrate anime cons, when we can be live again, and the voice cast all start showing up at those because they have other voice credits. They're known for their other voice work too. And eventually that will even permeate anime world that way. No dummies there, Alex Kurtzman. It's not just about kids and a new demographic. It's penetrate a whole unwashed sea there. Penetrate an unwashed sea, that's a horrible metaphor, but you know what I mean. I mean, we're on the tip of the iceberg here. This is going to do nothing but grow and grow and grow. And that's good. But for everybody with a ticket right now, who's front and center, our world is changing. We're a frog in the pot here. 3 or 4 or 5 months from now, no one's going to have big marketing campaigns about 23 straight weeks of Star Trek or whatever it was. No one's going to care. It'll be like yelling, look, it's a corded phone. Nobody cares. It'll be the thing. What does that mean for you? Can you take it? Are you ready up for this? Are you ready for your week to be organized day to day to day to day like that? Over and over and over again? Ad infinitum? No stop 'em? I mean, sure, we're all smiling about it as long as it's done right. And here's the final thought. Thank God. This really makes me stop and think, and maybe you too. Who would have said this 3 years ago, 4 years ago? And no, I don't mean, of course, well, there obviously wasn't fresh Trek every week ready to go 4 years ago. But did we all notice? I mean, it's still out there, but the level of toxic Trek has been drowned out. The toxic tubers have turned their attention elsewhere. There are still the people that can't stand Discovery, even though Discovery's gone through 4 changes since they all first got their panties in a wad over it. But it's not just that. Not just that Discovery has improved. Although I have seen people recently who are bemoaning the loss of the first season or two, and they don't like the way Discovery's turned out, which is great. Fine, debate. They were rational people. It's a surprising opinion popping up, but hey, everything changes. Many people think DS9 is the best series of them all right now. Wouldn't have found that 20 years ago. Change happens, yes, but here's a change I'm glad for. So sitting here talking about endless week-to-week Star Trek, if we had had to deal with the controversy of the week as we're having week-to-week Star Trek, none of us would make it. We'd not survive. It's a testament to the maturity of the franchise with Alex's and, the secret hideout era. It's a testament to that's just human nature. It's matured. The well-oiled machine got machined and got oiled. And it's better. And you can still critique anything you want to critique. But we've come so far from that almost sacrificial lamb sent out into the big black. Look, it's the first new Star Trek in 12 years. Weekly Star Trek, I mean. It's the first weekly prime episodic Star Trek in 12 years. That was a lone wolf sheep. It was a lonely world. And we are so far past that. It's only been 5 years. 5 years this fall. Not counting all the pre-premiere hoopla. We don't have the crisis controversy of the week anymore. And maybe that's the best thing of all about having 50 weeks of Star Trek to look forward to. If we'd had endless Star Trek coming with the screaming, memey, loud, out of control troll bot army out there, we couldn't have survived. But things evolve. Change is the essential nature of the universe, as a famous Vulcan once said. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. Just be ready for your life to fall into this regimented system of dependable weekly cycles. And just remember that if you happen to miss the episode, don't wake up on by Monday and Tuesday and check out the social channels of all your favorite creatives, because that will ruin it faster than what all your friends are saying on Friday. Just saying. So, I don't know. On one hand, this felt like a very soft topic, but on the other hand, you know me, I like to kind of jump in before, hopefully, if I have a thought. Maybe I'm proven wrong, but I love to see these trends on the way before maybe they become trendy. And it's not like I'm in charge of anything here, but I'm just saying, this could be the new reality. Be careful what you wish for, Lieutenant. Yeah, you'll get it. What do you think? I mean, if you're not already sound off here in the chat. But for you YouTubers, I just want to say, hey, thanks again for everybody helping us. First month of the year, we've already got a new Patreon, so I'm going to thank everybody there, our TTL Club. Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Keith Rombach, Justin Porteous, Nathaniel Robinson, and Blaze K. Thank you, TTLers, and a big thank you to our live wires, Rusty Harrell, Howbeard Gun Johnson, Jalen Bullock, Robert McLean, Alan Hohenson, J.R. Poole, Byron Bailey. Hello, Dave Gregory, our first time for you, and Casey Shafsky. Thanks to all you all for helping us out on the Patreon. A few more things are going to bubble up this year, and you can help. The simplest way you can help out in Trekland, patreon.com/TreklandLive. Simple to get there, simple to jump in, $5 or $10 a month. I keep it simple. Hey, the Trek Files is on hiatus, so you can go back and check out. We've got 7 seasons, 7 times 24, quick do the math, 168 past episodes, and a lot of them are people that are no longer with us now. You can go back and catch some of our episodes with Dorothy Fontana, Richard Arnold. We'll be back in a few weeks. Our 8th season starts in February, but for now you can catch up there. Podcast.roddenberry.com. The Trek Files is where the documents are. We're the only podcast that gives you paperwork, remember. But back on schedule, 10 o'clock Pacific on Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 European or GMT UK time. Life Support Live with Dr. Ali and I. Dr. Trek, one of us is a real doctor, going boldly through uncertain times. And we do a mashup of daily tips and daily living under a theme of Star Trek. And hopefully you learn a little something, maybe you feel better. I know you feel better when you join in with our lifers. We've got a good group. And yeah, a lot of our TTLers here today are in that club too. So thanks for joining us there. We'll be back. And as always, Larry Nemecek's Trekland, where you are right now, that's it for not only YouTube and Facebook, but my Instagram as well. Love for you to subscribe and follow all of those, especially the YouTube. It's Larry Nemecek on Twitter. And if you want a deep dive in our package that's especially made for folks who are needing something new in their Star Trek and they want to get into the texture and trivia, portal47.net is your way to do it. Just go to the page and check it out. It is like a mini con all year long, all through the month. And that is it for this Tuesday. One more special I have to tell you about this Saturday, and I don't have one of my snazzy retro cards for it, but this Saturday, not visual, it's verbal. This Saturday, the Trek Geeks Network and the Roddenberry Podcast Network are combining to benefit the Hollywood Food Coalition and their allied food partners here in Los Angeles. It's a passion project of John Billingsley, but John, our beloved Dr. Phlox, Dr. Phil Phlox, but our entire Star Trek family, tons of people have jumped. Jerry Ryan just jumped in. There are going to be panels all day long. It's a marathon. It's a telethon. It's a webathon, and it's all for getting people to make donations of any size to the Hollywood Food Coalition. But there are going to be 6 hours, 12 panels, half-hour panels for 6 hours, dozens and dozens and dozens of Star Trek notables, legacy folks, current people, actors, behind-the-scenes folks. I am moderating the panel about the Center Seat documentary. And we'll have Brian Volk-Weiss, who produced it, and Gates will be on that panel as the narrator. Dr. John and Mary Jo Tenuto, who are some of the talking heads, and myself, and maybe some more surprises. And I'm on at 1:30 Pacific. So yes, we clear life support. But you check it out over on the Trek Geeks page, on the Roddenberry page. The information's there. I need to get it on my page pronto. But hopefully you can join in. Hopefully you can spread the word, spread the socials, and do a lot of good that way. Okay? Hopefully, you will join us here later if you're not going to be with us live today. Hopefully, you'll be with us later. And until then, what else can I say? Stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke in all the ways. Check your sources. Keep your mind open for the information nobody told you about. Most of all, hey, trek well, everybody. Oh, yeah, TeePublic Store. No sale, but TeePublic Store.